What were the prophecies of Daniel in the last days? King of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, had a dream. He called his soothsayers and psychics in and told them they had to tell him the content of the dream, and then they had to interpret it. Just imagine how hard something like that would be. They knew that they couldn't tell him the content of the dream. And they knew that if they didn't, they was going to die. Finally, God's prophet Daniel was called in, and he told Nebuchadnezzar his dream, gave him the interpretation. This was in 603 BC. Prophecy of Daniel chapter 2 is the vision of the great image made of gold, silver, brass, and iron. It's one of the great prophecies of the Old Testament. Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar that there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he had made known to the king what will be in the latter days. The king's vision was about a great image of a man. The head was gold, chest and arms of silver, his belly and thighs of bronze, his legs of iron and partly clay. This prophecy had a beginning point and it had an ending point. The beginning point is the kingdom of Babylon. Daniel said to the king, "Ye, O king, are a king of kings. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. But after you shall arise another king, inferior to yours. Then another, a third kingdom, bronze, which shall rule over the earth. And a fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything. And like iron it crushes. That kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the other kingdoms." Most people today agree that the countdown of the four kingdoms is almost universally agreed to be Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greece, and Rome. And it was to be in the last days of the last kingdom, Rome, that the God of heaven would set up a kingdom which would never end, would never be destroyed. And it wasn't going to be a man-made kingdom or an earthly kingdom, but a kingdom not made with hands. So Daniel tells us that in the last days of the Roman Empire, in the last days, God would establish the kingdom. What this means is that in the last days, God would establish a kingdom that extend beyond the days of the Roman Empire but it means that the last days cannot extend beyond that Roman Empire. The prophecy relates to the prophecies of Israel. The promise of the kingdom was a promise made to Israel. Daniel chapter 2 is not a promise made to the church about the end of time. It's a promise made to Israel. Isaiah said that the kingdom would be established in the last days. It doesn't say that the last days would begin with the establishment of the kingdom. It says that the kingdom would be established in the last days. Daniel's prediction says that Jesus would appear in the days of the Roman Empire, and it's agreed on in the New Testament by Luke 2 verse 1. Jesus appeared in the last days, Hebrews 1 verse 1 and 2. And Jesus proclaimed, the time is fulfilled, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. What did Jesus mean when he said the time was fulfilled? What time was he referring to? The book of Daniel is the only prophetic book that gives a time for when the kingdom of God was to be established, and according to the Bible, the time foretold by Daniel was present in the first century. Jesus thought the time was right, and the only way he could have thought that was if it agreed with prophecy. Jesus knew Daniel's prophecy better than anybody. If the time for establishing the kingdom and fulfillment of Daniel 2 was not truly near, then why did Jesus say the time is fulfilled, the kingdom of heaven is at hand? If there was going to be a 2,000-year gap between his day and a revived Roman Empire, when the kingdom would finally be established, why did Jesus offer the kingdom way back then? Why didn't he just wait? If the kingdom cannot be established until Rome is just restored in our future, then Jesus was wrong to say that the kingdom was near in the first century. In Daniel 2, the kingdom of God is in contrast to the other kingdoms, eternal. In chapter 2, the first 4 kingdoms passed away. They all had last days. Daniel said that Jehovah would establish a kingdom that would never be destroyed. All those kingdoms had last days. The kingdom of heaven would not have a last day because it would never pass away. In Daniel 7, Messiah would be given a kingdom that would never pass away. It wouldn't be destroyed. It's in contrast with those 4 kingdoms that would pass away. Futurists teach that the Christian age has to come to an end. They teach that the purpose of the rapture is to end the church age. But it's evident, based on the contrast between kingdoms that would and did have last days, that would and did cease to exist. It's improper to speak of the Christian age as an age that would end. How can you speak of the last days of the Christian age or the end of the Christian age when the Christian age will never pass away?